You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in. So this is the full indictment and criminal complaint from the United States of America versus Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Jr., his father, Lontrell Williams Sr., also known as Mob Boss, Big 30, Rodney Wright Jr., DeMarcus Glover, Darian McDaniel, Terrence Rogers, Corday Johnson, Kadarius Waters, Demarion Gibson. These are all of the people that are involved in this criminal complaint. And we will actually read through this entire complaint for you guys. Filed March 30th, 2026. Karen Mitchell, Clerk, U.S. District Court. Case number 326MJ328BK. Criminal complaint. The complainant in this case state the following is true to the best of my knowledge and belief. On or about the dates of January the 10th, 2026, in the country of Dallas, in the Northern District of Texas, the defendants violated Code Section 18 U.S.C. 1201A and C, kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping is the offense description. This criminal complaint is based on these facts. See the attached affidavit of FBI Special Agent Brittany Garcia. Agent sworn and signature confirmed via reliable electronic means pursuant to federal criminal P41. Date March 30th, 2026. Signed, as you guys can see, S.A. Brittany Garcia, FBI, and below Renee Harris Tolliver, U.S. Magistrate Judge out of the state of Texas, Dallas, Texas to be correct, city and state. Affidavit in support of application for criminal complaint. I, Brittany Garcia, Special Agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, being first duly sworn, hereby depose and state as follows. Introduction. I am a special agent with Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been since September of 2022. I received formal training from the FBI and have worked alongside various law enforcement agencies that investigate bank robberies, carjackings, and other violent crimes. Based on my training and experience, I am familiar with the ways that criminals conduct their businesses, including various methods by which robberies and kidnappings are conducted. I have used various investigative techniques such as interviewing witnesses, interviewing defendants, conducting surveillance, and executing search and seizure and arrest warrants in my federal investigations. I am familiar with how criminals use their cell phones, vehicles, and social media accounts to facilitate the commission of these types of offenses. This affidavit is based on my personal knowledge as well as information provided to me by other law enforcement officers and other individuals who have participated in this investigation. Since the affidavit is being submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause for a complaint, I have not included every fact known to me concerning this investigation. Based on the facts set forth, there is probable cause to believe that on or about January the 10th, 2026, in the Northern District of Texas and elsewhere, the following individuals violated 18 U.S.C. 1201A and C by knowingly combining, conspiring, and agreeing with other persons known and unknown to commit offenses against the United States, to wit, unlawfully seizing, confining, inveigling, decoying, kidnapping, abducting, or carrying away for ransom or reward any person. DeMarcus Glover, Darian Gibson, Corday Johnson, Darian McDaniel, Terrence Rogers, Kadarius Waters, Lontrell Williams Jr., Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr. Probable cause. Overview of the kidnapping. On January 10, 2026, at approximately 4:50 p.m., victims who will be referred to throughout this affidavit by their initials or collectively as the victims RD, MM, and BP were kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint at a music studio located in Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas. This location is within the Dallas division of the Northern District of Texas. At approximately 1 p.m. on January the 10th, 2026, the victims flew into Dallas, Texas alongside RD's head of security, hereinafter referred to as CW, and the other security officer, hereinafter referred to as TD, for a scheduled business meeting between RD and suspect Williams Jr. Williams Jr. is a hip-hop artist known as Pooh Shiesty and has been signed to a recording contract for RD's music label 1017 since approximately 2021. RD and Williams Jr. were scheduled to meet because Williams Jr. was upset with the terms of his contract and wished to be released from his contractual obligations. Williams Jr. had asked RD to come to Dallas on this date so that they could meet about business. At approximately 1:45 p.m., CW, TD, and the victims arrived at the scheduled meeting location, a music recording studio located within a larger office building. When CW, TD, and the victims entered the office building, they realized the recording studio, owned by an individual hereafter referred to as JN, was closed. While they waited for the studio to open, the five went to a liquor store and purchased liquor and plastic red Solo cups before returning to the studio. Williams Jr.'s father, Williams Sr., called JM multiple times on the day of the meeting. At approximately 2:53 p.m., JM answered the phone and learned that Williams Sr. was attempting to book a recording studio that afternoon for Williams Jr. and RD to record music. At or around 3:15 p.m., JN opened the studio for RD, MM, JP, CW, and TD. Investigators later collected the reviewed surveillance video captured at another business located in the same office building on the same floor as the recording studio, which showed Williams Jr. or Sr., outside of the office building. Approximately 3:27 p.m. on January the 10th, 2026 left, Williams Sr. appears to be speaking to someone on his cell phone before entering the building at around 3:28 p.m. At approximately 3:39 p.m., an employee of the studio arrived to assist with production. When the employee arrived, Williams Jr., Williams Sr. were standing at the back door of the office building, engaged in what appeared to be an argument over the phone. At approximately 3:43 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel entered the east side of the office building. The target suspects walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio left. Once the individual with the dreadlock hairstyle, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the office building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulder. Wright is also known as hip-hop artist Big 30. Number 9. The 9 individuals entered the studio's control room, where inside the victims were watching a football game. CW was positioned in the studio lobby while TD remained in the vehicle they arrived in. Depicted below are photographs of the studio lobby, control room, and studio recording room, taken from Dallas Police Department body camera and crime scene photographs captured on the night of the offense. The victims overheard Williams Jr. talking on his cell phone, potentially with a probation or parole officer, stating that his caseworker had given him permission to be out for rec time. From what victims could hear, William Jr. was informed that that was not the case and he needed to return immediately. Williams Jr. agreed. Williams Jr. was wearing an ankle monitor, leading the victims to believe that Williams Jr. was on house arrest. RD told Williams Jr. they could reschedule their studio session, but Williams Jr. requested to speak with RD privately in the attached recording room. RD agreed and entered the recording room with Williams Jr., Williams Sr., and Wright. Meanwhile, MM and BP remained in the control room with the 6 other individuals and continued to watch the football game. BP offered to share the liquor that they purchased with the target suspects, and at least 2 accepted grabbing the red cups and making a drink. Inside the control room, Williams Jr. produced purported contract termination or release paperwork from a bag and told RD to sign. When RD declined, Williams became agitated and the pair started to argue. MM and BP could see inside the recording room and initially believed RD and Williams to be discussing business, but as MM saw the conversation intensifying, he texted CW, who was still in the music studio's lobby. As the argument inside the recording room ensued, Williams Jr. instructed Wright to get his bag. Wright complied, leaving the recording room before returning with a bag. Williams Jr. then pulled what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed it at RD, demanding RD to sign the contractual release paperwork. RD complied, signing the paperwork for Williams Jr. while Williams Sr. and Wright stood by. RD was not allowed to leave the recording room while he was held at gunpoint by Williams Jr. Wright pulled out his cell phone and purported to record RD signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he released Williams Jr. from their contract. After the release was signed, Williams Jr. took RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. After RD signed the contractual release paperwork, Williams Jr. provided the paperwork to Williams Sr. and asked him if the paperwork was good. Williams Sr. advised that the paperwork needed to be dated, so Williams Jr. then forced RD to add a date next to his signature. As RD, Williams Jr., and Williams Sr. and Wright exited the recording room, the remaining subjects, Waters, Rogers, Johnson, Glover, McDaniel, Gibson, produced handguns or ARAK-style pistols and began to demand property from BP and MM. BP was pushed into a couch in the control room while an individual known as BP, or to BP as CMO Damn Fool, and part of Williams Jr.'s crew, later identified as Rogers, searched his pockets and stole his wallet, BP's chain, and a necklace bearing the moniker 1017 were stolen from his neck by another subject known as Glizzy 375, later identified as McDaniel. During the robbery, McDaniel repeatedly, and at the bottom it says, according to BP's statement to law enforcement, he witnessed Wright pointing a cell phone at RD inside the recording room, but assumed at the time that Wright was taking pictures for social media. McDaniel repeatedly threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Williams Jr. instructed McDaniel not to. BP further identified an individual he knew as quote-unquote Baby Slime 375, later identified as Johnson, as being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, and that during the control room robberies, Johnson possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified the individual they knew as KD, later identified as Waters, as also being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, possessing a firearm and holding them at gunpoint. MM was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping and robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck and wrist. MM was robbed of his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag containing multiple other high-dollar watches, Apple AirPod headphones, and his wallet at gunpoint by Glover. MM confirmed his Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and wallets each had an Apple AirTag, a location tracking device attached. MM later told law enforcement that he was able to identify his robber by the Instagram handle at Twin CMO, later identified as DeMarcus Glover. MM provided investigators screenshots of the last recorded locations of the Apple AirTags, specifically the last location for the Apple AirTags on the Louis Vuitton bag and AirPods was off the Dallas As the altercation inside the control room ensued, Wright walked over to the studio door lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing the victims from leaving. CW and TD, the victims' security guards, watched Wright barricade the door and attempt to force their way into the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn, CW and TD managed to partially open the door, but recognized they were outnumbered by the armed target suspects. RD was pushed onto the couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe that they were going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of the firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room in the studio through the west entrance of the building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Based on later recorded surveillance footage, the target suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance of at approximately 4:48 p.m. Now, going from the prior page, at the bottom right there, it says, MM provided investigators screenshots of the last recorded locations of the Apple AirTags, specifically the last location for the AirTags on the Louis Vuitton bag and AirPods was off the Dallas North Tollway, just south of the Sam Rayburn Tollway in Plano. As the target suspects drove north on the Dallas North Tollway after the offense, they would have passed through this area. The last location for the AirTag on the wallet was a parking lot that services both apartment where Williams Sr. currently has a leased apartment and where Williams Jr. is believed to reside, and the Star in the Frisco, Texas. Exterior surveillance videos recovered from a neighboring building showed a white Buick Enclave, a black Dodge Charger Hellcat, and a black Dodge Ram with a distinct roll bar affixed to the bed of the truck traveling northbound shortly after the kidnapping and robbery. According to law enforcement databases, Wright's father, also named Rodney Wright, owns a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat bearing Tennessee license plate. License plate readers placed this Charger in Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, during the relevant time period. In particular, a 2:18 p.m. scan on January 10, 2026 captured the Charger following in close proximity to a black Dodge Ram bearing Arkansas license plate. The Dodge Ram appears to have the same distinct roll bar as the Dodge Ram captured on the surveillance video near the offense location later that afternoon. LPR scans at around 5:04 p.m. on January 10, 2026 place a Charger traveling in close proximity to a white Buick Enclave bearing Texas license plate. This Enclave returns with the Hertz rental as its registered owner. On or about January 14, 2026, investigators subpoenaed the Hertz Corporation Hertz Rent-A-Car for information associated with the Enclave. On January the 14th, 2026, Hertz responded, providing information including that the white Buick Enclave bearing the Texas license plates had been rented by Williams Sr. on December the 29th, 2025, with a return date of January the 11th, 2026. The records further revealed that the Enclave was still rented to Williams Sr. at that time on January the 10th, 2026, kidnapping and robbery. Location information provided by Hertz in response to a search warrant detailed the movements of the Buick Enclave on January the 10th, 2026. or January the 10th and 11th, 2026. These records corroborate the LPR scans and confirm the enclave was at or near the offense location on January the 10th, 2026. Law enforcement initially believed the Hellcat was registered to Wright, but upon further investigation learned it was actually registered to his father. Williams Jr. Electronic Location Monitoring. Williams Jr. is currently serving a 63-month sentence for violation of 18 U.S.C. 924-0, conspiracy to possess firearms and furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes that he sustained in the Southern District of Florida in 2022. According to records received from the Bureau of Prisons, Williams Jr. was approved for home detention on or about October the 31st, 2025, as a part of his conditions for home detention. Williams Jr. agreed not to possess any deadly weapons or knowingly be in the company of a person possessing the same. Additionally, Williams Jr. is required to wear an electronic monitoring device monitored by the Bureau of Prisons. Investigators received partial records associated with Williams Jr. electronic monitoring device, including location data from January 9, 2026 and January 10, 2026. These records corroborated the information investigators received regarding Williams Jr.'s movements, including his location at or near the offense location on January the 10th, 2026. Staples. On the day of the offense, at approximately 1:50 p.m., Williams Sr. was seen on video entering a Staples located at 333 Peterson or Preston Road, Frisco, Texas, 75034. His rented black Enclave can be seen on the surveillance videos parking near the front of the store, after which Williams Sr. entered the store, walks to the copy printer machines. Investigators obtained a copy receipt that confirms a transaction occurred at the copy printer machines at 1:59 p.m. At the same time, Williams Sr. is seen on the video surveillance near the machines. Due to the close timing of the visit to Staples prior to the events, the fact that Williams Sr. went straight to the printing area store, and the timing of the receipt confirming the transaction occurred while Williams Sr. was at or near these printers, investigators believe that Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. went to Staples for the purpose of printing off the contractual release that was presented to RD. Cell phone records. Investigators obtained cell phone records for Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson, and the telematics location data records for the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. Cell phone records for Glover and McDaniel are pending. The records indicate that Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson traveled together from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas in the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. They left Memphis on January 8, 2026 and arrived in Dallas in early morning hours of January 9, 2026. The data from the Glover's electronic monitoring device aligns with these cell phone records. On January 10, 2026, from approximately 2:28 p.m. to approximately 2:46 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, and the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram were in the area of Windrose Tower, a location Williams Jr. resided prior to moving into his new residence at 12 Cowboys. In particular, the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram were equipped with wireless data capabilities provided by AT&T. On December 1st, 2025, Glover pled guilty to felony charges of conspiracy to commit auto burglary in DeSoto County, Mississippi. According to the records received from the state of Mississippi, Glover was released on a $250,000 bond and required to wear an electronic monitoring device by the Justice Network of Mississippi. Now, to go back to the last line, it says, a location Williams Jr. resided prior to moving into his new residence at 12 Cowboys Way in Frisco, Texas. They all traveled together to the area of the offense location, arriving approximately at 3 p.m. The data from Williams Jr. electronic monitoring device and location information from the Buick Enclave align with the cell phone records. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the offense location, leaving at approximately 4:50 p.m. to the area of the Star in Frisco, Texas, arriving at approximately 5:07 p.m. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson utilized tours with the coverage that includes the Star until approximately 9:30 p.m. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information for the Buick Enclave aligned with the cell phone records. Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the Star and Frisco to the area of the Comfort Inn, 11069 Composite Drive, Dallas, Texas, where they remained overnight. Williams Jr., Williams Sr. remained in the area of the Star overnight. On February 24, 2026, Flix North America, Inc., which owns Greyhound bus lines, responded to a subpoena with records documented that on January 11, 2026, Glover, Rogers, Gibson, McDaniels traveled together on a Greyhound bus from Dallas to Memphis, Tennessee. Cell phone records for Rogers and Gibson corroborate this travel. Bottom of your screen, surveillance footage was captured at the Windrose Tower on January 10, 2026, shows the Buick Enclave driven by Williams Sr. exiting the Towers parking garage at approximately 2:30 p.m. Immediately followed by a black Dodge Ram and a black Dodge Charger. Johnson's phone was connected to the internet for more than 2.5 hours, starting at 2:44 p.m., utilizing a tower just north of Windrose Tower. Verizon records include only the starting tower of a data session. Cell phones records indicate that on January 13, 2026, Wright and Johnson and Waters traveled together with a Dodge Ram from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. The Dodge Charger Hellcat was stolen from the Comfort Inn in the early morning hours of January 11, 2026. It was reported stolen by an individual, TA, on January 13, 2026 at approximately 1:04 p.m. shortly after Wright left the Dallas area. Comfort Inn. After reading the incident report on a stolen Dodge Charger Hellcat and analyzing cell phone records for Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson, investigators determined they stayed at the Comfort Inn, 11069 Composite Drive, Dallas, Texas, from January 10th, 11th of 2026. Comfort Inn records confirmed that Gibson paid for 4 rooms at the hotel. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage from the Comfort Inn and observed Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel inside the Comfort Inn, all clad in clothing similar to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Below, stills from the offense location next to stills from the surveillance footage. Wow. As you guys can see the video, they put side by side at the studio, at the hotel. So they're showing these guys had similar clothing, shoes, everything. As you guys can see. Right there. And they have their names and they have the video stills lined up right there, as you guys can see. No change of clothes, nothing. Same thing. APHIS hits. On January 16, 2026, the APHIS quality latent prints lifted from the crime scene were run through APHIS. The same day, a DPD forensic fingerprint expert received hit notifications that the latent prints from the one red solo cup were identified as the left ring finger of Gibson, and a latent print from another red solo cup was identified as the right thumb of Rogers. Identification of the target suspects through Instagram. Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, BP, and RD all personally knew Williams Jr. by both his legal name and the name under which he performs, Pooh Shiesty. At Pooh Shiesty is a verified Instagram account, and the individual depicted throughout the account matches Williams. AFIS refers to the automated fingerprint identification system, a digital database maintained by law enforcement and stores and compares fingerprint records. When latent prints are recovered from a crime scene, qualified examiners can submit them to AFIS, which uses automated matching algorithms to identify potential candidates. A fingerprint examiner then verifies any matches returned by the system. Also, to go back to this last line, in the Instagram account and the individual depicted throughout the account matches William Jr., MM, and RD describe Williams Jr. as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, black hooded shirt, and black pants during the offense. An online search of Williams Jr. matched the individual depicted throughout at Pooh Shiesty, at Williams Sr., at Mobs Tie Global. The victim identified Williams Sr. Instagram account at Mob Ties Global. Photographs on the account refer to Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. as father and son. Wright at CEO Big 30. BP, and RD all identified Wright as a well-known hip-hop artist known as Big 30 as present during the offense. And RD identified his Instagram account as CEO Big 30, which is verified by Instagram. The account contains photographs of Wright with Williams Jr. and Waters. The investigators located a Facebook account associated with Wright depicting him with Williams Jr. and Waters. A Shiesty is a popular, often black, baklava-style face mask worn as a fashion accessory in urban drill music and streetwear culture. Waters, BP, identified KD as a nickname for Waters and described him as William Jr.'s right-hand man. Described Waters attired during the offense as a black hoodie with white stripes down the sleeves, which matches the individual captured on the surveillance video at the offense location. Investigators matched Waters' driver's license photograph to the individual depicted throughout at KD 375X. Rogers at Damn Fool 375 _ Damn Fool 375. BP identified an individual he knew as Damn Fool 375 as present during the offense and described his physical appearance and clothing. Investigators located the Instagram account at _ Damn Fool 375 as an associated Facebook account featuring photographs with Williams Jr., Wright, and other target suspects. Investigators matched Rogers' state identification photograph to the individual depicted on these accounts. On surveillance footage from the offense location, the individual believed to be Rogers can be seen exiting from the building carrying what appears to be a Louis Vuitton bag reported stolen. On January 15, 2026, Rogers posted a video on at Damn Fool 375 showing him wearing a Rolex GMT Master 2 Batman Rolex with an Oster steel band that appears visually similar to the watch stolen from who provided investigators with photographs, a receipt, and a serial number for the stolen watch. Additional posts on at Damn Fool 375 show Rogers wearing shoes similar to those he wore during the offense. Explained to investigators that this Batman Rolex with the Oster steel band is a rare watch and was able to identify it from the footage on the Instagram account. Further research by investigators corroborated statements about the rarity of a Batman Rolex through internet searches. Those, as you guys can see, the pictures are right there on the screen. The guy on social media, man. I mean, you don't get, bro, you telling yourself, there ain't nothing else to talk about. Glover _ twin CMO _ MM identified the user _ twin CMO _ as an individual who choked, scratched, and wanted to shoot him during the offense. Investigators matched Glover's driver's license photo to the individual depicted on the account, and Wright's criminal history revealed a prior arrest with Glover. Instagram records obtained pursuant to the state of Texas search warrant reveal the following posts from @_ twin CMO _ January 11, 2026, 6:30 a.m., a story featuring a large amount of cash. Rolex, visually similar to the one stolen from MM, and a location tag of Dallas, Texas. January the 11th, 2026 at 6:12 p.m., a video showing individuals visually similar to Rogers and Gibson flashing large amount of money and a watch. Stills are from the video here. Diabolical work. On January 17, 2026, a story showing Glover with a Rolex that appears identical to the one stolen from MM, stating he got a new rope, believed to be slang for watches and necklaces. January the 19th, 2026, videos of Glover wearing a necklace with a 1017 pendant that appears to be the identical one stolen from BP. Number 7, Johnson @Baby Slime 375X. BP identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375X present during the offense, described him as a short, younger, black male with darker skin who wore a Shiesty mask and a beanie and held BP and others at gunpoint. A December the 20th, 2025 Instagram story posted by @twin CMO _ tagged @Baby Slime 375X. Memphis investigators identified Baby Slime as Cordain Johnson from previous gang investigations. Number 8, McDaniels @Glizzy 375. BP identified Glizzy 375 as a young black male with a low fade haircut who wore all black and a Shiesty mask during the offense and threatened to shoot BP before Williams intervened. Online investigative research identified Glizzy 375 as an Instagram account associated with Darian McDaniel, and Memphis investigators confirmed the individual depicted on the accounts appears visually similar to McDaniel. Gibson, number 9, @Mookie RU _ 375. Online investigative research and Memphis gang investigators confirmed the individual depicted throughout @Mookie RU _ 375 matches Gibson's recent arrest booking photo. This account, or the account, I should say, features the identifiers 375 and CMO, as is followed by multiple target suspects. All right, as y'all see right there. Go back up. Message 375 is a song by Pooh Shiesty featuring Big 30. The number 375 is featured in many of the Instagram accounts. Let's continue to go. Summary of target suspects' involvement. The following is a summary of each of the suspects' involvement and evidence tying each to the offense. Now, DeMarcus Glover. Eyewitness accounts state that Glover produced a handgun or AR-AK style pistol and robbed MM of his personal property. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Glover at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Glover posted multiple videos of himself and other target suspects on Instagram flashing cash and wearing what appeared to be the stolen jewelry. The Greyhound bus line records indicate Glover traveled with the other target suspects on January 11, 2026 from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Glover's electronic leg monitor corroborates his presence at or near the offense location at the same time of the kidnapping and robbery. Demarion Gibson. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts state that Gibson left the office building and returned with a bag presumably containing firearms. Surveillance and eyewitness accounts place Gibson at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn, with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects and the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate that Gibson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas on January the 9th, 2026, and placed Gibson in the area of the offense location during the offense. Greyhound bus line records indicate Gibson traveled with other target suspects on January 11, 2026, from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Gibson's latent print was lifted from the crime scene. On January 11, 2026, Glover posted an Instagram video of Rogers and Gibson on a bus showing them flashing large amounts of money. Cordain Johnson. Eyewitness accounts state that Johnson held BP and others at gunpoint inside the recording studio control room. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Johnson at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn, with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate that Johnson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, arriving on January the 9th, 2026. Cell phone records indicate that Johnson traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee from Dallas, Texas, with other target suspects on January the 13th, 2026. Darian McDaniel, eyewitness accounts state that McDaniel stole jewelry from BP at gunpoint while threatening to shoot him. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed McDaniel at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with the other target suspects by wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Greyhound bus line records indicate McDaniel traveled with other target suspects on January the 11th, 2026, from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Glover posted a video to his Instagram account on January 11, 2026, of an individual he knows as Glizzy, a known name of McDaniel, flashing a large amount of cash. Terrence Rogers. Eyewitness accounts state that Rogers searched BP's pockets and stole his wallet at gunpoint. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Rogers at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn, with the other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records, indicate that Rogers traveled to Dallas, Texas prior to the offenses and placed him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Rogers posted Instagram videos flashing the stolen Batman Rolex and appeared in the Instagram videos flashing cash and watches with other target suspects. Greyhound bus line records indicate Rogers traveled with other targeted suspects on January 11, 2026, from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Rogers' latent print was lifted from the crime scene. Kadarius Waters. Eyewitness accounts state that Waters produced a firearm and he held victims at gunpoint. Victim surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Waters at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with the other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate that Waters traveled to Dallas, Texas prior to the offense and placed him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Cell phone records indicate that Waters traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee with other target suspects on January 13, 2026. Montrell Williams Jr. Pooh Shiesty. Eyewitnesses accounts state that Williams Jr. bought RD into the recording studio and demanded that RD sign and release signed the release contract at gunpoint before taking RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Eyewitnesses accounts also placed William Jr.'s in the room when the additional kidnapping and robberies of MM and BP occurred. cell phone records, electronic location monitoring, and cell phone footage place William Jr. at the offense location. Electronic location monitoring data also places William Jr. at a Staples location with his father believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. Lontrell Williams Sr., the father, mob boss. Eyewitnesses' accounts state that Williams Sr. procured the recording studio, right, where the offenses occurred. Williams Sr. assisted his son, Pooh Shiesty Williams Jr., in procuring RD's signature on the purported contract release. So, people were saying that the father didn't want to do it. They're saying that he basically assisted his son. Surveillance footage from the day of the offense shows that Williams Sr. entered the building unmasked and later exited the building carrying a backpack he did not have when he entered. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts place Williams Sr. at the offense location and following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Subpoena records and cell phone records place him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Subpoena records and surveillance footage place Williams Sr. at a Staples location believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. Rodney Wright Jr. Eyewitness accounts state that Wright Jr. went to the recording room during William Jr.'s conversation with RD and returned with a bag containing firearms. Eyewitness accounts state that Wright filmed the release of the contract. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts placed Wright at the offense location and following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate Wright traveled to Dallas, Texas, in a vehicle registered to his father prior to the offense and placed him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Cell phone records indicate that Wright traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee with the other target suspects on January the 13th, 2026. The conclusion, based on the facts set forth above, there is probable cause to believe that on January the 10th, 2026, in the Dallas division of Northern District of Texas, DeMarcus Glover, Demarion Gibson, Corday Johnson, Darian McDaniel, Terrence Rogers, Kadarius Waters, Lontrell Williams Jr., Lontrell Williams Sr., and Rodney White Jr. conspired to and committed kidnapping in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1201 A and C. Signed, Brittany A. Garcia, Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation Agent, sworn and signature confirmed via reliable electronic means on March 30th, 2026, pursuant to Fed Crime, R Crime, P41. Signed, the Honorable Renee Harris Tolliver, United States Magistrate Judge, Northern District of Texas. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all click those links below. Subscribe to the podcast show. You can donate support to the channel, Cash App, PayPal, or buy that weight loss formula. All the links are below. Peace.